Looks like one rider just kind of dangling off the front, thinking about maybe catching him. But more than likely, I think this one's going to be brought back by the field. Morris will spend as much time as he can out there. I think he just wants to show off his cool camo skin suit. So you see those guys getting out of the saddle as they kind of lead the chase. Just coming around the corner, you want to get maybe 2 or 3 pedal strokes in out of the saddle before you can kind of settle in a little bit. Go too far on the leash. It's like those extended leashes with your dog. When you get too far out, you get a little uncomfortable, then you start to pull it back in, and that's what these guys are doing right now. Matthew Miller doing some work on the front of the field, and it looks like they're going to make the catch right here as they head around turn number 1 into turn number 2. So now a little lull after that action as they just kind of chill out on the front right now. Someone's going to take advantage of that. Only a matter of time as they launch the counterattack. Perfect move by this rider. This is textbook Criterium racing. You wait until the catch is made and you immediately go, because all those guys at the front have been chasing this whole time. And now look, no one wants to respond. So these guys who are now coming up from the middle of the field have the fresher legs. A great move by this rider who initiated this move, and certainly a good move by the rider that jumped on the wheel as well. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get away. Just didn't have the kick, the pop to get away from the front of this field with a significant gap early on in the attack. Too many guys at the front said, we made that mistake once, we're not going to make it again. So making their way through, let's give some props to this rider who clearly tactically savvy. That's Rolly Weaver out of Ormond Beach, Florida, for the Pioneer Mortgage, presented by YourKey.com team.
And there you can see mixed into the field Adam Morris, your early race leader. So he found himself now.
Certainly has good vision of the race. Knew when to make that move.
Category 2 riders on course if you're just joining us out here.
And now it looks like Stephen Hoffman going to come to the front as well. That's Hoffman coming into your picture right now, saying, hey, you going to come with me? You got the legs to go? You interested in a breakaway? He's trying to recruit riders to join him up the road. Hoffman is clearly trying to make this one into a breakaway situation. This will be the second time now that he's tried to get a break, and he's going to take 3 riders with him to make it a group of 4. Hoffman probably gave some words of encouragement coming around saying, hey, jump on my wheel. You got it. We can do this. Let's make it happen. And now look at the gap that they have. This is huge. This may be a turning point in the race, because now we've got a significant group up the road. We've got 4 very strong guys up there already. 1 rider, now 2 riders trying to bridge. They're going to try and make it 6. This field better be panicking right now, because this is bad news for them. If they let this one get too out of hand, they might as well kiss the podium goodbye. And you can see those guys know it. All those riders coming off the front, the sooner the better to make a bridge like this. 3 groups of 2 riders. And it is Hoffman and Weaver. So this, what we're looking at right now, this is in turn number 4. This rider went off course over the bridge and ended up in this ravine. But happy to see that he's up and moving, as that is Will Fife out of Huntsville, Alabama, for the Brick Alley team. Criterium racing is no joke. 1 minute you're riding in the group, the next minute you're carrying your bike out of a ditch. Let's go back and take a look, see if we can identify where he went off course there in turn number 4. Always curious to know how riders end up in a ditch. Yeah, just a little touch in the wheels back there. And yeah, looks like guys just got a little too close. There he is down in the bottom right of your picture. He just went off screen. So yeah, that rider went up and over that stone retaining wall that you see right in the middle of the picture right there. That's his, pretty amazing that he was able to walk away from that one. The crazy part about these bike racers is they get a free lap, so that rider can now come back into the pits, and most likely we're going to see him in the SRAM neutral support pits here, or at least some of those riders that were involved in that crash, because they can now re-enter the race without being scored a lap down. They'll be put back into the main group, and they will be on par with everybody else. But meanwhile, we look at the breakaway at the front of this race, as it is Stephen Hoffman and Raleigh Weaver, your two race leaders, trying to stay away. Hoffman flicks the elbow. Weaver comes through to do his part. And they're just dangling off the front. I don't know that they're gaining any more time at this point.
And that's what you're going to see going down here in just a little bit.
Those guys gave up on trying to make the catch to those two. They're not going to form their own little chase effort behind them, so we'll call that the breakaway. That group is going to be chase number one, those four riders right there. And then you have the rest of the field behind them.
So you can see a number of riders right now that have all made their way down to the
so this is the tricky corner where that rider went into the ravine.
And for these riders,
so those guys got to watch out. Looks like they got a volunteer there now, just making sure no one else goes in there.
This could be one of the more tense moments in a Criterium bike race, because you have the riders that will be coming through right now moving at top speed, and then these riders getting pushed back into the mix. This is all going to come together here very shortly. Now, they're not going to get pushed in with our two leaders, but rather the group that's a little bit further back. Your leaders again, Stephen Hoffman and Raleigh Weaver, as they make their way through.
So Hoffman and Weaver with a little bit of time as they come through.
Here we go. As the field comes through,
leading the chase effort is Justin Bynum and Fletcher Leidick. Fletcher Leidick has been very aggressive in this race, showing himself at the front quite a bit for the 706 project. It's local Team United Healthcare Georgia, presented by the 706 project. One of the very important development teams all around the country, hoping to cultivate these young riders, giving them opportunities and support to race their bikes around the country. And you really do need a good support team if you want to work your way up through the ranks with the ultimate goal of becoming a pro bike racer, which who doesn't want to race their bike for a living, right? So Leidick, with the support of his team, looking to have a promising future at just 18 years old. Meanwhile, Hoffman and Weaver continuing to roll off the front. I think that's Leidick coming forward once again. What an incredible ride this is. Leidick has been really impressive today.
Continued strong move from these two riders, taking advantage. The unfortunate incident just a little bit ago here as they continue to flip those elbows.
Well, they're still working well together. They're definitely both taking turns, and the field right now is all hands on deck. The panic bells are ringing back in the group. As you see Leidick realizing that this one is going to come back together. They're being led by Nick Van Winkle out of Atlanta, Georgia for the Lightspeed BMW team on the front right now. That's Van Winkle that you're seeing on your screen, sparking this field into action.
Up the road. As we watch the live pictures, you can see that right now. You see these guys turning left to right, looking back at each other.
Boy, that lap that they came through, they were just cruising. So it looks like SRAM Neutral Support are going to get a customer here on the finish line. We've got a rider running down the finishing stretch right now. This rider is going to be entitled to a free lap. And it looks like that's going to be a drop derailleur. Ripped off the bike for that rider.
Is ride backwards on the race circuit. So these riders can't cut the course to get to where they need to be, but they do ask them not to ride backwards. So as they continue to make their way around, we're looking here at them making their way up into what is turn number 2 right now.
So there are riders in the pits. I'm going to guess that these were the riders involved in that crash that went into the ditch. So it looks like getting some new wheels from our SRAM neutral support team.
Right now as we are starting the clock on them, 235, Stephen Hoffman, Raleigh Weaver there sitting second wheel.
And again, these guys will be reinserted into the race when the field comes by, so really no rush for them.
Keep pushing a huge gear there is Austin Hewlett. And then the rest of the field sitting right on about. And
it looks like it was a tire and a chain issue. The rider with the neon sleeves right there, which I believe is a Reality Bikes rider, had the drop chain and was running into the pits.
Very shortly, we should be showing these riders laps to go.
Well, meanwhile, our two guys back on the front, I believe that's still Leidick sitting third. But it is all about Hoffman and Weaver right now. Again, it's Weaver on the front, Hoffman in the purple and white. Raleigh Weaver out of Ormond Beach, Florida for the Pioneer Mortgage team. It's Stephen Hoffman coming out of Brooklyn, New York for the Lupus Racing team. So now those guys coming onto the finishing stretch, those riders that were in the SRAM neutral support pits will not be inserted with the leaders. They're going to be inserted with the main group as that group rolls by the pits just past the finish line. So those riders should have their bikes fixed up right now, and we'll probably see those guys being reinserted into the race as they roll by.
Raleigh Weaver, these guys continuing to go there, but trying to come across the gap is Austin Hewlett at last check. He is right on just about 7 seconds.
Again, that is Hoffman on the front looking oh so strong today. Hoffman is looking absolutely unstoppable. I'm liking this breakaway more and more. You can see the official waving to the field there saying, hey, we've got riders coming in. Keep an eye out. So they move those riders over to the side of the road so that the other riders can insert, and there they go, right back in the race. Again, those riders are not scored a lap down, and I'm just impressed that they got back into the race. A lot of people think, free lap, that sounds pretty good, right? You get a chance to take the lap off, maybe get a drink of water. Well, that's not the case because your heart rate starts to drop. That lactic acid starts to build up when you're off the bike. So there really is no advantage. In fact, it's a distinct disadvantage. You also have to re-accelerate to get back up to speed. If you've been with us all day, we've been talking about burning matches. Well, you're going to burn 2 or 3 matches by the time you get back up to speed from 0 in the pits to the racing speed here, especially headed into the corner. So it's very difficult for these riders to recover after they have a mechanical issue in the SRAM pits. It is not an enviable position to be in.
In fact, 9 laps to go. It'll be 9 laps to go. So calibrating out that time to hit spot on for 45 total minutes of racing. So the riders will see 9 laps to go. 9 laps remaining. And again, the 2 riders out in front are Stephen Hoffman and Raleigh Weaver.
So our officials just now turning the lap cards to show 9 laps to go. Your leaders rolling through, getting 9 laps to go. So now they have a definitive distance. 9 laps is all they have to survive, and second place is the worst that they can do. And this is a huge, huge ride from our 3rd place rider. Again, not an easy place to be, stuck in no man's land. Broderick Hartley is the rider leading the front of the field for the Social Circle, or the Social Circle Georgia rider for Predator Cycling. And at this point, Hoffman and Weaver kind of start sizing each other up. They're looking for weaknesses in one another, maybe looking for a chance to attack someone out of this group. It's Weaver on the front with his mouth wide open, trying to get as much oxygen into his lungs as possible. Hoffman looks good. He looks cool. He looks calm. He looks comfortable.
They have to absolutely buy into the idea.
That's exactly what you want to see. These guys need to continue working together. They can't quite start attacking each other yet.
You're a stronger climber than me. You go ahead and go to the front right now as we're coming up 11th Street. If I can go ahead and power through the flat section, then I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. So these guys continue to work together very well. Raleigh Weaver along with Stephen Hoffman as they make their way through. You see that 35 on the back of Stephen Hoffman.
A pretty big gap, 25 seconds being reported by the officials right now from Weaver and Hoffman back to the nearest chaser, as it looks like our bridge rider now getting reabsorbed by the group. Just didn't have it in the legs today to make it to the front, so they are all back together. This is now our race for third with two riders up the road as they're seeing 8 laps to go on the counter.
The Tour Georgia with Cherry Street Cycles, the 35-year-old, finding himself now taking up the pacemaker.
You know, noticing it's the same riders still on the front here. I got to think if they haven't made the catch now, it's hard to believe that they're going to be able to do it here in the final 7.5 laps. Let's see if these guys are out of sight. Not quite yet, as you saw the field just at the top of your screen coming around that turn. But I think these guys are kind of starting to resign to the fact that these two might be away. This rider going to try and seal up a third place ride today. And you can see no one interested in chasing. They're saying, look, we've been chasing all day. I don't have another chase effort in me, but these two do. These three do. More riders going to go with them. This is a great move. They saw the lull in the action, and now he's going to try and lock up the final podium spot available.
7 laps remaining, 7 laps to go, and still a very strong effort here. As you can see, every time Stephen Hoffman, the Brooklyn, New York rider, 28-year-old of the Century Road Club Association, doing a great job.
So Hoffman and Weaver just came through the line here. They just saw 7 laps to go. But this is the real story out on course right now, the race for third. These guys trying to fight their way to a podium spot. And again, if you don't like your chances sprinting, you better get yourself into a breakaway ASAP. That's exactly what Travis Monroe is doing right now. Monroe riding for the Audi team from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Well, now just watching for the moment, which I think is going to be inevitable in this group of two. I would guess that one of these guys tries to attack.
Sitting on the front right now with Stephen Hoffman sitting second wheel on our pictures. Those are the two riders at the front. Now, if you just look at the body language here of these riders in the field, you can see that
it's like maybe a couple juniors trying to make their way up there. I don't know if Travis Monroe is a junior anymore. I think 20 years old. Yeah, confirmed 20 for Monroe. And I think that is Fletcher Leidick, the other rider joining him. And these guys are like, well, that was 50 bucks I wasted because the podium just rode away. And I think they're starting to realize that that one's not coming back, and they don't have the legs to chase it back.
There now are our two chasers. These guys doing a good job. Remember, $1,000 the prize list to be paid across 10 places. The folks now looking to secure their spot out here today in this top 10. These guys right now holding down third and fourth. And for these two riders, they're continuing to yield time as we come across here 6 laps to go.
Well, there you go. That's your race for third, getting 6 laps to go. That is Fletcher Leidick on the front out of Lawrenceville, Georgia.
34 seconds off the base as Justin Meade there.
And they're saying over 30 seconds now.
Will finish strong.
You know, I gotta say, I think Hoffman looks a little fresher than Weaver right now. Weaver has this constant pain face on, whereas Hoffman looks a little more comfortable on the bike. Weaver with the tongue out, showing the world that he's working hard. You see Hoffman just sitting in, doing a great job there, riding the wheel for the Lupus Racing rider. And now, typically Hoffman has been coming forward on this section of the course. And there you go. He doesn't even wait for Weaver to pull over to the side. He knows where he needs to take his pole. These guys taking their final drinks of water now. They're going to maybe try and empty the bottles out and get a last drink in. And now the battle for third, which continues to heat up between these two young riders. With 18-year-old Fletcher Leidick and 20-year-old Travis Monroe locked in a battle for third.
Those bricks there right in front of us with 5 laps to go, continuing to battle through here. There's Fletcher Leidick As he makes his way through there, he is sitting 25 seconds.
Wow, Fletcher Leidick now dropping his breakaway companion. Leidick has dropped Travis Monroe, so a good move for Fletcher Leidick there. Clearly looking strong for this young man today. Leidick has been all over the front since the start of this race. Now at 5 laps to go, he finds himself with a legitimate shot at finding the podium, but he's going to have to hold off that field. And I don't know if he's feeling, yeah, he says no right there. You see him shaking his head saying, boy, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold on to this one. Sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't. When you got it, you know. When you don't, your body tells you pretty quickly. I think Leidick feeling all of his efforts today, and he's going to throw in the towel. But a solid ride for that young man. Great job for Mr. Fletcher Leidick out of Lawrenceville, Georgia for the 706 Project. You got some fans behind you, Fletcher. Good ride. So now Leidick's going to try and tack on to the back of this rider. He says, you know, I can't do it by myself, but maybe I might be able to follow a wheel with this guy in the final 4 laps of racing. As at this point, I think Hoffman and Weaver are in a different time zone off the front of this race. Almost to about a half-lap lead for these guys right now. The race for third is going to be great back here, though. Leidick still on the front. He's going to lead 1 more lap through. But that field has caught him. And he made it pretty clear that he didn't think that he had the legs to really be a factor in these last 4 laps.
Just a reminder to these kids in our Mellow Mushroom Mad Dash, you need to be ready to go at 4:45. We are closing in on our Mellow Mushroom at Mad Dash. CrossFit Challenge, the run.
If this does come down to a field sprint for third, as it's looking like it might be, again, it's all about positioning in this group. As they come around the final corner, it's going to be all about where you are in that single file formation, which is inevitable in this field. The first guy around that final turn, and this goes for the guys in the breakaway too, probably not going to win the race, as usually the first guy around is going to have someone on his wheel. They'll follow the wheel all the way around the corner, and then they'll launch their sprint just as you get up and over that hill on the way up here. So right now, these guys just fighting to stay at the front. You want to make sure that you don't get pushed too far back. If you feel like you have good sprinting legs, if you feel like you might have a chance at a sprint in this group, then you certainly want to make sure that you stay as close to the front as possible, while also minimizing the effort that you're doing, minimizing the work that you're doing on the front. So you just spend a little bit of time taking your pole on the front, then you move off to the side, but you don't go too far back before jumping back into the group. So back at the front, these are your 2 leaders. Again, we are looking at Stephen Hoffman and Raleigh Weaver. Hoffman on the front in the white, Weaver in the blue and yellow jersey, as these guys have made their way off the front, and now it's going to be a 2-man drag race. In these final 3 laps, they know it. These guys are safely away. They no longer have to worry about what's happening behind them, so it is just a waiting game for our 2 leaders with 3 laps to go. This is going to be very interesting to watch.
More importantly, remember, we have 1 step of our Category 2 podium to be decided as well. We've got our top 2 riders up the road in Hoffman and Weaver. Who will take that 3rd and final step of our Sunny King Criterium Category 2 podium? We will find out inside the next 3 laps.
And you can see, look at Weaver's head on the front, bobbing side to side, and then look at Hoffman's head. Hoffman is keeping it rock steady on the front, as Weaver's starting to show a little bit of weakness, starting to look like, not that we didn't see it on his face already, but now we're starting to see it in the shoulders and the upper back. He kind of started to rock from side to side. So now they're seeing 2 laps to go as they just rolled through the line. And even though I think Hoffman is going to be the fresher rider here. You got to give Weaver some credit. He did a great job of just marking the move. You know, a lot of the riders in this field could do what Weaver and Hoffman are doing, but they aren't doing it today because they just didn't have the ability to read the race. They didn't know the timing. So now going back to the race for third, these guys desperately trying to get away, saying this is my shot at a third-place podium.
2 laps to go there. You can see Tomas Pettit out of Atlanta, the 18-year-old with Razor Cycling, continuing to drive through. No sooner do we see the field making their way across. We look down at turn number 4. We should see
it's going to be really hard for any riders to get away from this group. Of course, I said that in the last 2 races, and both of those ended in breakaways.
These guys again.
So that has been the order of the day on this course, and looking forward to seeing if that continues with our elite women and elite men later on today.
Stephen Hoffman and Wally Weaver as they make their way through, seeing 1 lap to go.
All right, so our leaders now coming to the line as they're going to be getting the bell for 1 lap to go. Heading out on their final lap, that is Hoffman on the front, Weaver on his wheel. This is going to be 1 and 2. The question is, what order will they finish in as they head out on the final lap? They have earned their breakaway today. Fighting tooth and nail to stay away. Now they're safely away, and they can worry about just one thing, and that's the other rider in this breakaway. This is now a head-to-head battle for the top step of the podium here at the Sunny King Criterium. Don't forget, folks, tell your friends, tell your family, we are live online here. Good move coming from Weaver, who launches the first attack. Weaver goes on the offensive. Meanwhile, your field all together in the race for third, but I'm keeping an eye on Weaver. He's going to try and stay away from Hoffman. He says there's no way I can beat Hoffman in a move. This is Weaver playing his cards. He's got 1 card to play, and he's laying them all out. But now Hoffman has made the catch, just getting onto Weaver's wheel as they head on to the home stretch. Hoffman in the white, Weaver in the blue. Here comes Hoffman launching the sprint. He comes around Weaver. Hoffman leads it out, coming up the hill, and it looks like he will hold on. Coming out of Brooklyn, New York, he will take the win today. It is Stephen Hoffman, your Category 2 men's winner, with Rolly Weaver finding the podium in second.
Now the rest of the field will be coming through here momentarily. This is not the front end of the chase. They will be coming through here.
So now this is the race for third all together.
Just steer clear of the field. He will be wrapping up as well as we zero out our lap count. And now there they are.
So you can see the guy on the front is going to have a lot of trouble here because he's going to get swarmed. It's just too long of a stretch to be the first guy around that corner. And now plenty of guys coming forward, trying to push up the outside, going wide. Now they launch the sprint from behind the leaders. Ooh, this might be a close one on the line. But it looks like Leidick.
Second on the afternoon for the Category 2 men. A fantastic job by the Pioneer Mortgage rider. Please welcome your second place finisher, Rolly Weaver. And your 2014 Sunny King Criterium champion for Category 2 men, top step of the podium with Century Road Club Association, this is Stephen Hoffman.